Welcome to Pep Talks with Jeannie. I'm your host, Jeannie Pepper. I started doing Pep Talks as a way to inspire you to do intentional acts of kindness and to further the goals of #BlazeItForward. Since its inception, Pep Talks has evolved, and now I use it to interview people actively making a difference in this world through their volunteerism, community service, or careers. My guests are all here because they have dedicated their lives to making this world a better place. Join us as we delve into the hopes, dreams, and aspirations of these truly inspiring and hardworking people. This season, we will be using a panel format in some of our episodes to bring together synergistic guests to discuss topics that weave the social fabric of the world around us. Welcome to another episode of Pep Talks with Jeannie. Welcome to Pep Talks. I have two outstanding musicians for you today. We have Jay Christ and Will Minton. And Will approached me at an event that we did at the park where we have the Rock Memorial Garden in Foothill Ranch. He was there when I was there this past Monday, and we were cleaning up there, putting in new beautiful rocks. And Will said, I wrote a song called Blaze It Forward. And a lot of people have come up to me over the years with various interesting things that they've created for me. Some of them are wonderful. Some of them are, I have to scratch my head. But I never know which one it's going to be. But I was curious, Will. So I said, I'd like you to come play in my studio. So here we are. Less than a week later, we've got you here in the studio. And you are going to play for us this song that you created for me. And I'm really looking forward to hearing it.
My name is Will Minton, and I'm about to play Blaze It Forward, which is a song inspired by Blaze Bernstein and Jeannie and Gideon Bernstein.
Blaze, full of light, with a smile that was so contagious, right? Brained and left, a master chef on a pre-med track. He found his voice, writing stories he could not finish. Then he was gone, but this song is not about that. When the rain is falling down, 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 and the ground is calling, and the sun rays try to blaze through that stormy sky, there's a rainbow forming. You've done the hard work and you face the morning, and it's time to rise and spread some good for a while. They lost their dream, it would seem. They could shut the world out. They lost a son to an unthinkable crime, but they used the stage as a way to spread good all around, and with a choice kept their boy's voice alive. When the rain is falling down, 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 and the ground is calling, and the sun rays try to blaze through that stormy sky, there's a rainbow forming. You've done the hard work and you face the morning, and it's time to rise and spread some good for a while. 'Cause this is where it gets good, 'cause people everywhere stood and started doing good things. And doing good in his name, it made the narrative change and showed the world what love means. the bill of the girl in the car behind him. She helped the man find the jam in the grocery store. They spent their day with the neighbors planting a garden. So many ways they were blazing it forward. When the rain is falling down, 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 and the ground is calling, and the sun rays try to blaze through that stormy sky, there's a rainbow forming. You've done the hard work and you face the morning, and it's time to rise and spread some good for a while. When the rain is falling down, 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 and the ground is calling, and the sun rays try to blaze through that stormy sky, there's a rainbow forming. You've done the hard work and you face the morning, and it's time to rise and spread some good for a while. Blaze it forward.
That was really good. Really good. I'm blown away. I really am. I loved it. I loved it from the beginning. I don't have to listen to it a second time to know I love it. I mean, one time is all it took. And boy, you two really. Are you friends? Like,
So we became friends through one of the ways that I got back into writing songs. And it's a great organization called Writers Round. And there's several of them. The one that we met at is in Orange County, and it is every other Tuesday in Costa Mesa at a place called Gun Whale Ales. But what it was is it was the inspiration of a guy named Greg Gilman, and he started this in Los Angeles, and it kind of mixes Nashville-style singer-songwriter writers rounds, where you have 3 featured performers up there singing their songs and telling the stories behind them. And those it's curated, so there's different people every week, and then they throw in an open mic round in between the 2 rounds of the featured performers. So me, as somebody who had taken a 30-year hiatus from performing, it was a great opportunity for me to sort of jump back in there by throwing literally my name in a hat at the open mic round. And the first one I ever went to last summer, Jay was there too, and he got called on too. And then since then, we now get featured at some of these different writers rounds. There's another one in Laguna Beach at Laguna Beer Company, and that's every Thursday.
That's the cool thing about it too. Is just like it's built this community. You know, I'm not actually from California. I'm originally from Little Rock, Arkansas, and I've been a musician for a long time. But I wanted to get back into the community and start playing shows again. So because of this writers round, meet people like Will, you know, and a lot of other really cool people. So
is it like Toastmasters for singers and songwriters?
I think that's a great comparison.
Yeah, it sounds like it's a place where you can be heard and seen and experience that.
Right, and instead of because the music industry is extremely cutthroat, and that's probably why. I mean, other than the fact that I don't think I'm good enough, but that's why I didn't really pursue it as a career. So I grew up loving music, going to Broadway shows. I'm not from California either. I'm from New Jersey. Grew up in New Jersey, loved Broadway, loved music, got into just all different kinds of music, but was really inspired about how music could bring people together. And I ended up writing my through shared experience. And I wrote my senior thesis at Harvard about the Grateful Dead because I thought that it was really interesting how they were able to form this fan base and this longevity by just making their experience unique and encouraging fans to record their shows and trade them for free. And that was very revolutionary. And I just thought that was really interesting. And then I started writing my own songs in college and got to, at one point I got to play in front of 1,000 people by opening for an a cappella group. And so I sort of got the bug and I loved doing it. But then you graduate, and you have to face the real world. And I had to make this decision. Did I really want to pursue that as a career? And the answer was no. I mean, so Harry Chapin is a folk singer from the 1970s. He had the song called Mr. Tanner, and Mr. Tanner was this tailor who sang, and he loved it. You know, he loved singing, and all of his customers and his friends said, well, you should make a career out of this. So then he tries, and he gets booked at, you know, some big concert hall, and then the critics shred him, tear him apart. You know, and I didn't want to, and then the refrain goes, music was his life. It was not his livelihood. So I didn't want it to be my livelihood. So I ended up pursuing this career in marketing, and it's been great. We talked about Taco Bell earlier, so I worked at Taco Bell for 6 years, and I got to express my creativity that way through marketing. Worked at a sales and marketing agency for 16 years. After that, got to work with all kinds of different brands, helping them with their campaigns and strategies, and that was fun as well. But there was still this part of me, again, I loved doing this, but it's something that I was really, the danger of not pursuing it as your livelihood is then, do you end up doing it at all? And I think that's what happened to me. So we would have company meetings at Advantage, which was the company I worked at for 15 years, or Taco Bell, and I would be the guy with the guitar, you know, writing songs about the product I was launching. Or at Advantage, I was the MC for the company meeting every year, and I would, you know, write original songs that sort of summed up the year, you know, and I would, you know, serenade different people in the audience. And so I had fun doing that, but it just wasn't enough. You know, friends and family at their weddings and everything, fine, but not really able to get out there and pursue it until last summer. And, you know, Nate, my son, goes off to college, and my daughter, who's a junior, gets her driver's license, and all of a sudden I'm like, well, maybe I do have some more time now to jump into this. And then it was, well, how are you going to do that? And then I looked around, and I saw these writers rounds, and so that's how it happened.
Wow. I think you're super talented. I mean, clearly, both of you. And I love the solo that you did. That was some nice guitar work. Sounded amazing. Really did. And I like the lyrics. It made me cry. It made me emotional. And not from sadness, but just, gosh, it's hard to explain, you know, when something, I guess that's the sign of good art, is when it really makes you feel an emotion and you can't even explain why. I mean, there's so many reasons why it made me emotional, that you took the time to, you know, to really consider the life experience that my family has had, losing our child, and just to be able to put it all together so seamlessly into a song that's so inspiring and such a beautiful story. I felt it was telling a story that really resonated with me, of course, because it's my story. But I think it would resonate with anyone, because it's just so, it's a word for it. It sounds good. So it's got like that pull to it, that it's instantly an attractive sound that you want to hear. But the words and the lyrics and the story behind it are compelling, very compelling. And I really appreciate you doing that for me. And I'm so glad I thought to have you come in and play it for me, because I can't imagine not hearing this song. It's so incredible. So I guess now I have to ask you if you would be a regular on Pep Talks and come and create more music for people that are surviving trauma, and that would benefit so greatly from hearing your music.
Wow. So it's an emphatic yes. So
that makes me so happy.
I mean, and having more opportunities to play and to share my songs and to be inspired by stories and to write songs. I'm welcoming that wholeheartedly.
I know exactly who would benefit from this, like, so much. I've talked to so many people that have survived trauma, and they're such good people. They really want to improve the human condition, just like you do, which is why you create this art, because you want to connect. You want to connect in a positive, inspiring way. And now I'm inspired to do more. I love this music, and I want to hear more of it, and I hope that you'll continue.
Thank you. Absolutely. Well, I hope you realize, though, I mean, did you recognize when I said to you earlier that you should be a co-writer of the song? Can I just refer to something that you wrote? I didn't memorize.
Maybe I should see the words so that I can
I'll give
appreciate them even more.
I brought a copy of it. So yeah, I mentioned that I've been following Blaze's story since his murder in 2018, and then I joined the Facebook group. But last fall, after the 48 Hours episode and during the trial and verdict, I dove in really deep. And then with Nate going off to college, his story hit me even harder. So I read your posts, listened to podcasts, and I was just so inspired with how you and Gideon turned the grief into action, spreading kindness and adapting to your loss, creating something meaningful. So you showed how even the hardest moments could lead to a brighter world. And then on what would have been Blaze's 22nd birthday, this is what you wrote. You wrote, "Before, I pointed and smiled in happiness when I saw a rainbow. Now I see God's tears, then the sun breaking through the stormy sky, and I smile because God's tears yielded a rainbow. The only way to have beauty in this world is to do the hard work, to cry, to feel this loss, and to make rainbows for myself and my world." So those are the words that inspired the
I
chorus.
forgot I wrote that, but
Yeah,
you know,
it's
I
beautiful.
remember now when I wrote that.
Yeah,
I've often thought that, you know, when it rains, that's God crying.
right.
And it seems like actually Blaze was born on a day when it was raining. It was at the end of April, which is a time, you know, we often have rain that time of year, but it was also like significant to me because I always remember that it rained on his birthday. And so I would plan birthday parties for him. I always made sure that we had a backup plan if it rained. But it rarely did. I don't think we ever had a problem with it. In all the years, we never had an issue with rain with his birthday. But even now, like I see it as a sign especially when it happens. Like I'm really glad it didn't happen on the day of that I met you.
And the rain also, and you know, it was part of the reason why they found him, right?
Yes, it
Because-
was.
so
It
there's
was.
that.
It was kind of it was very ironic that was how he was discovered. Yes. Wow, this is just really a great example of how, Blaze was an artist as well, and he wanted to be a writer. He wanted to be a chef. He probably would have become a writer and chef, or a celebrity chef that writes books. I mean,
interesting.
it's possible he could have done that. But I told him before he even went off to school that he was a brilliant scientist. He really was, and he and I both knew that he had a gift and that he should use it to help mankind in a way that could really help the human condition. And he was going to go to medical school. That was the plan. He wanted that for himself. And I think that this is a great example of someone who also put their true passion on hold so that you could survive in this world.
I didn't even think of it that way. Yeah, that is an interesting parallel between Blaze and myself.
Yeah,
with that.
you're obviously, I mean, people don't just go to Harvard because they're walking by one day and go inside the door. You have to audition for that school, and that is a rough audition. So I know that you probably have the same chops that Blaze had, if not more. And I think that a lot of really smart and talented people do not pursue their art because they may believe in their art, they may know that they're good at it, but they just want to have a life of stability. And I've met many struggling artists over the past few years in my own work, because now I'm a struggling artist with a podcast, you know? So we all have our passion projects, and I'm at the point in my life where also I can now pursue my passions. And this is very healing for me to get to meet people that make the world better. And when I inspire them, it tells me that I'm on the right track, that I'm doing the right thing with what's left of my life now. So, thank you. Thank you for proving my point.
Yeah, proving your point. Right.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I really loved it. Would you mind if I asked you some personal questions?
No, not at all.
Are you both open to that?
Yeah.
So, Jay, you said that you were from Little Rock, Arkansas. What was the impetus to come out to California?
I was about to turn 30. I'm 37 years old now, and I was about to turn 30. And I've been a struggling artist for a long time. I work in restaurants and stuff, and right before my 29th birthday, I just came out here, visited some friends, and I was like, well, maybe I could get a little restaurant job, and I did, and it worked out, and I just ended up staying. A month turned into a couple months, turned into a year, and 7 years later, here I am still working in restaurants and playing music. So.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Most people don't realize that the people that are serving them in restaurants are probably artists that would much rather be doing their art than serving people food. But yeah, I mean, a perfect example. I keep that in mind, especially in Los Angeles. I think every server there that looks like a supermodel, there probably are. They're just have a real job sometimes. Yeah, everyone has to have a backup plan. So, wow. Well, did you know from an early age that you wanted to pursue this?
So my dad was a guitar player, and I used to watch him from the time I can remember, for as long as I could remember. I would just watch him play guitar and just be mesmerized. And I tried to pick it up when I was probably like 10 or so, and I just couldn't quite get it. I don't know what it was. And then when I was 14, I was just ready, I guess. My parents, they told me, well, okay, if you learn how to play Blackbird by the Beatles, we'll buy you an electric guitar. And that electric guitar was just, the holy grail. So I just put all my focus into learning Blackbird by the Beatles. And I learned it within a month. And they were like, whoa, okay, he might be serious about this, And from that point on, I've just been in love with playing the guitar and, expressing myself through it. And songwriting now as well.
Yeah, Jay's also an amazing songwriter.
Oh, really? I would love to hear your music.
Yeah.
So you'll have to forward on some things to me.
And we'll be writing some music together too.
Yes.
And stuff,
I hope so.
We should mention the gig that we have.
Please
it's,
promote.
It's a month from yesterday.
February 27th.
Yeah,
February 27th.
In Los Angeles.
In LA.
At Breaking Sound. Employees Only.
Employees Only is the restaurant. It's through Breaking Sound, but it's a restaurant in Los Angeles called Employees Only. And you can find us on our Instagrams to get tickets. Will Minton. What is your
Will
Instagram?
Minton Music is my Instagram.
And mine
handle.
is J Christ Music. So
Okay,
it's
that's
pronounced
really
Christ, just
interesting.
so
I will try to be there. If I may, I will get tickets for that event. I would love to see you both play. If I can make
and
it.
there's plenty of time opportunities down here in Orange County.
Oh,
too.
good. Yeah, if that can work out, I would love to see you both play in a real place with a real audience, not just me.
Yeah.
But that's wonderful. I'm so happy to hear that. Have you sold many tickets yet?
I haven't even started promoting it yet. Yeah.
Okay, so we're promoting it now.
Yeah,
So if you like what you just heard here on this show, then you should go to Employees Only in Los Angeles on February 27th. I'm guessing it's in the evening. Yes, to see Will and Jay
and we'll post
play.
about it on our Instagram account. So
Perfect.
Which we just mentioned.
Okay, so you can learn about them both at Jay Strong has an Instagram account and Will Minton.
J Christ.
J Christ.
Oh, Jay. What did I say?
Strong. But I
Oh,
like
it's
that.
Strong.
Thank you.
I like.
Yeah.
That's not interesting. My son's name is Jay.
Oh, was it?
Is.
Or
I
you
have two.
of
I
course,
have
yes,
3
yes.
children. So my oldest child now, Jay, is his name is Jay, obviously. So I kind of like your name a little bit.
Thank you.
And his middle name is Edward. His Hebrew middle name is Eitan, which means strong.
Oh, that's cool.
So his Hebrew name is Yaakov Eitan, which is Jacob the Strong.
That's cool.
But it must have been completely subconscious that I called you that. It's so funny.
That's great.
I know.
One other thing that I'm getting back into, now that I'm doing singer-songwriter stuff again, I'm like, well, maybe I should go back to acting again. So when I was younger, I used to be in musical theater. And so I'm actually going to be at in the J Stage's production of The Sound of Music, which is like in late April and early May.
Well, we'll have to plug
playing
that also.
Uncle Max. Yeah.
Wow.
So as we get closer, we can.
Is this a children's production?
No.
It's for adults.
They do, yeah.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, they do both. Yeah.
Well, Blaze was on the J Stage.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes,
Yeah.
Blaze played the father of Bell, the scientist, the crazy old scientist.
Right.
Maurice.
Is that
Crazy old Maurice.
Beauty and the Beast? I was going to
Yes,
say
Beauty and the Beast.
Right.
And yeah, that was like in 2014, about there. No, 2012. He was about 13 at the time. But yeah, that's so interesting. Look at all these things you guys have in common. And my son Jay actually also plays guitar.
Oh, cool.
And not only does he play guitar, he makes guitars.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Impressive.
I'd like to show you them actually before you leave.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah, Jay loved music. Of the 3 children, they all played piano. I made sure we all had piano lessons, and they all were good at it, okay at it, decent at it. But the teacher told me that Jay was the one that had musical gift. And I couldn't tell by listening to them. They all were playing the same stuff. They all practiced about the same. But she said, no, Jay's gifted. And as it turned out, after we stopped with the lessons, he continued to teach himself. I did not expect that from him. But he kept going, and this is piano. And then he taught himself how to play guitar. And then he started making guitars on the 3D printer.
Oh, wow.
And he took a year off between high school and college to work in the, what do they call it? The STEM lab at the school that he had gone to. So he volunteered for a year in the STEM lab with the kids. And while he was there, he helped another student make an electric guitar. And they used, $1 million laser printer cutter to cut the wood for this thing. And we have it here, and I'm going to show you it. And he continues to play and compose music. He actually composed the music for the beginning and end of this show. And one of the things that he loved doing was going to these competitions where they make music for video games. But they make video games like really fast, like within I don't know how much time they give them. But he would just show up and say, "I'm here to help with the music," and he would make the music for them. So that's just something he liked doing, like helping them out with that. So interesting kid. He's now self-sufficient and works in La Jolla, and he's doing great. And so there's hope for anyone who has kids that don't like high school and don't like doing their homework, or don't mind doing their homework but can't remember to turn it in. That seemed to be the big problem. So there's hope, because he eventually figured it out, and now he has a great job, and he's really happy. So
does he still do the music?
He does everything still. Yeah, for him, music is great because he's kind of an introverted person. So it's just something he likes to do because he likes to be by himself. And so it's something he can do by himself, and nobody bothers him, and he just loves it. So, that's very interesting. So you came out here. You didn't want to move to LA because you like Orange County better.
Yeah, I had friends in Orange County, so I really just came to visit with no real set return date. And then
you ended up 7 years later, you're still here. So J. Christ, not J.
Now it's
Strong.
pronounced Christ.
I'm so sorry.
No,
I cannot get this right.
I say because it's spelled like Christ, so when people see it, they just say J. Christ.
I don't have a problem with it either way.
I went to Catholic schools growing up, and everybody always just said J. Christ, and
so he's embraced it. No, I mean, don't make Jeannie feel bad. That's how he. That's how you play. Like when you play. You say,
I do. No, not to. Of course, and that is what
and that's how you introduced yourself.
Yeah, that is totally. Yeah, no, you're totally right.
Okay.
That is how.
Okay.
You wanted to be.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Maybe that's like your stage name.
So then the way that you would pronounce it if it wasn't your stage name is Chris?
Is actually Christ, yes.
Okay, good. Like Christy. Because I've known people with that last name too.
Yeah.
So, that's so interesting. Mm-hmm. Okay. So you got to check out the Instagram and find out more about the show. And then Will also has Instagram where you can find it as well.
Right.
So Will
Minton Music.
Minton, and we're gonna have
Bill Clinton, but Will Minton.
We're gonna have a sign right up here that says what your Instagrams are, right above my hands. It's gonna say Will Minton and J. Christ.
Yeah.
/Christ.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. So that's so cool. So you are both playing together now. Are you a band or are you just no?
No. So it was again. It's like an insecurity. I don't like just playing by myself. I mean, that's what I usually do.
Yeah.
But it kind of raised the stakes when you offered me the opportunity to come in and play here. I just wanted to make it really, really right. So I was nervous about messing it up. And so I said to Jay, I sent him this YouTube recording of it that I did. Mm-hmm. And I said, would you be willing to play for me or play with me? What do you think? And he got back to me, this was just last Friday, right?
Fabulous.
Yeah. And you said, absolutely, would love to. Let's get together. I was in New York.
Yeah.
So I got back Sunday night and we got together yesterday. And we figured it out, and just hearing him accompany me, my wife Lane, she just said, "Wow, Jay really brought something to this," So
awesome.
It's just great to have that collaboration, and we just again met through this songwriting format, and I'm just grateful to have him as a friend.
So great.
And it will probably collaborate in the future on other things. But
more original music. Do you do cover songs? What are you doing?
Yeah, I do sometimes, but if I do, I like to make it different because if it sounds, I'm not a great musician. I'm just not, so
I don't know why you say
I don't
that.
like my voice either, really. I mean, it's like,
oh, I think both
like
are
the way Kermit the Frog
perfect.
Sounds, then maybe he would like my voice.
Hey, Kermit the Frog made plenty of money selling records, so don't knock that.
So yeah, I mean, occasionally, but I think I always say I like to play my originals because nobody can really play them better than I can because they don't know them.
That's true. So. This is true. Okay, so is there any other music that you collaborate on that you would like to share with us? while you're here now?
I don't think so. Unless you can figure out something as we
Okay.
do it.
I'd put you on the spot.
You could just play hard. Well, yeah. The only thing that we've played together other than this is that one song. Yeah, it's not quite ready. So we just started collaborating yesterday.
Yeah.
No problem. I'm going to have you back
there will be
in when you have enough music that you feel like you're ready to perform, and we'll record the whole performance right here, and it'll be fun, and we can even have a studio audience for you if you would love that. So yeah, we have an audience here. Usually we have people here when we do these shows, but today we just decided to do it on our own today, just to have some peace and quiet in the studio when you guys weren't here. So but yeah, it's wonderful, and I'm so thrilled you came in.
What's really challenging is that especially if you're jumping back into this at an older age like I am, is that I'm not exactly a digitally native person, so you don't just have to be a great musician and a great singer anymore. You have to also be a content creator in order.
You
in
really,
order to get your stuff
you're
out
not
there.
wrong. I mean, there are plenty of super talented people that just can't figure out how to market themselves.
Right.
And I have found it to be extremely challenging. But I'm persistent. So I think that if you persevere and you just keep working at it, I think eventually you will make headway.
Yeah.
It takes time. You have to meet people like me that will help promote you, and that share your vision. So I think that that's really key. And I just keep finding those people that share the vision with me, and then connect with them through social media will help you to get the word out. It really does, because your stuff will show up more. The more people backlink to you,
right,
your stuff will show up more in people's feeds. So I think there's some things to look forward to for you too, if you want to continue to do this. I think you're great together. So just my thought.
Yeah. It's like you have to do it. You know what I mean? If it makes you feel so whole, the Taylor in Harry Chapin's song.
Yeah.
Even after he in the final verse, so he goes through this whole cycle where he goes and he plays, and then he gets the critics shred him, but then at the end he's just back in the tailor shop singing, to make himself happy, because that's what it is. It made him feel so good. It made him very happy, and that's what it is. Then you have. I don't know what's going to happen with Paige, my daughter, because she's in this cutthroat world of ballet, and I do have a separate song about her, but it's about how, how cutthroat that world is, and yet she has this tenacity that she just is not going to give up. She doesn't look at it as an option. She looks at me and she says, I made when I was graduating from college, I made in Adam's house, which is this house that I lived in at Harvard. There are these tunnels that connect the different sections of the house, and every few years they paint murals, and the seniors that are graduating get to paint murals. So it just so happens that I was one of the lucky classes where it just coincided with them painting over all the prior generation's murals. And so my mural was on one side, a guy with long hair, and bare feet jumping out holding half of a guitar. And on the other half of the guitar, it morphs into a briefcase. And you have this guy, that's, looking at his watch and his business suit going off in the other direction. So I was really struggling, what am I going to do? It has to sort of be one or the other. And maybe it doesn't, because maybe I found, like I was saying earlier, I did find ways to be creative in my career. But I think that, like I mentioned earlier, you just have to. Oh, and Paige actually says that, when she knows about that mural, she said, I would never compromise myself that way. I would always go in the direction of the guitars, which she says,
Isn't youth wonderful?
I know. I think it is. That's something new. So we'll see what happens with it. She wants to apply in all the ballet colleges, and so we'll see. She wants to go pro with it, but hopefully hopefully it'll work out. But yeah, it is. You have to on the one hand be realistic, and then you have to, but you should never give up on it in totality, which is kind of like what I did. And so I'm just happy now that at this phase of my life, I'm bringing it back to the forefront.
Yeah, I think that if you do have talent, real talent, it's really important for you to express it. Just think about all the incredible art that you have had access to because someone didn't give up. Mm-hmm. All the wonderful music, Harry Chapin.
Yeah.
James Taylor. I can think of lots
Yeah.
of wonderful folk singers.
And then Harry Chapin, of course, his life was cut short, so he didn't. And you know,
Yeah.
and one of the other things that I was thinking of when I jumped back into
So
this was
sad.
that quote from Kobe Bryant or the Buddha. But it's that the human condition, like the fault of the human condition, is thinking that we have so much time, and of course we don't. So.
Yeah. So true. So true.
After leaving Advantage, I joined a startup with some friends from business school and did that, thinking that maybe that would be fun to do for a while, you know, the sort of startup environment. But and it's an education technology company. I'll give them a plug too. Breakout Learning. They
Yeah.
use AI to monitor and assess small group discussions. So small group discussions is like the most engaging and effective learning format. Students basically learning from each other, having conversations about topics, getting assigned a topic, you know, getting assigned to some reading or getting assigned to watch a video, and then meeting online in like a Zoom type environment, and then having a conversation about it, you know, given a prompt. And then while they're having this discussion, AI basically records and then evaluates the discussion against a rubric that the professor puts together. So the professor then gets a roll-up of all the interesting comments from the students and can tell where the students are in their learning journey. They can use it for assessment too, which some of them do, because why assign papers anymore if students have, you know, ChatGPT? But this, and you can't cheat this system, but that's not really what it is. It's really about going back to the most effective way of learning, which is having discussions. If you think about
Yeah.
the way humans learned for thousands of years, it was through having discussions and asking each other questions and learning that way. And then education got so big, right? With these large lecture halls and class sizes, and so you know, you can't really have small group discussions in that environment. And so we relied on things like Scantron tests and textbooks, and you know, that's not really the way those types of learning promote memorization, not critical thinking. Not the way that
We
you know,
don't want
having
people to
discussions
critical
are.
think anymore.
Right.
We just want them to be sheeple.
Right. And this is our education system. So
Yes.
there you go.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, we can't even get them to stop putting poison in our food.
Right. As we talked about earlier.
Right?
Right.
I mean,
Get rid of that red dye.
The law to remove it from our food was passed many years ago, but why is it still happening? You know, so it's like, yeah, people aren't thought to actually ask the questions. Why?
Right.
Why is
why?
this? Why?
That's exactly right.
Like,
why?
I don't know.
Nobody asks why anymore, or knows how to respond to why. So I did that for like a year as the chief marketing officer. But then, you know, again, it was almost taking up too much of my time, not enough for the things that I really want to do like this. And now we do what David does. So he has his own LLC and does consulting, right? That's sort of like what I do. So.
Yeah. Okay. Very cool. So I can hit you up too.
Yeah, hit me up.
You can be another pep talker.
Yeah.
Super.
Jeanne, thank you so much for having me on. It's been a great pleasure to be on your podcast. I can be found at Will Minton Music on Instagram and Will Minton on YouTube, and that's spelled WILLMINTON.
Thank you so much, Jeanne, for having me and Will. And you can find me on Instagram at jchristmusic. And that's all I have for now. More to come on that. But thank you so much.
Hashtag Blaze It Forward is a campaign my family started in 2018 after our son Blaze was murdered. Hashtag Blaze It Forward provides the inspiration to thousands of people to repair the world with intentional acts of kindness. If you would like to learn more about Blaze and how you can make a difference, check out www.blazebernstein.org or join our Facebook group at hashtag Blaze It Forward. You can also check out my website for this podcast at www.PeppTalksWithJeanne.com. There you can follow along with my podcasting adventures and learn more about my fascinating guests and their passion projects. I would like to thank all of the volunteers who help make my philanthropic endeavors a reality. Today, that includes my producer, Eli Moskowitz, all of the volunteer crew members who join us, and a special thank you to my son, Jay Bernstein, for the original theme song you hear at the beginning and ending of each show. This has been another episode of Pep Talks with Jeanne. Until next time, keep on making this world a better place.